So now we want to make this actually work. So when you click on dates that are available, you actually get the ability to go to a page to complete the reservation for this given room for the date you've chosen, or to display an error message saying, nope, those dates aren't available. So right now, if I choose the 2nd and the 3rd, and click OK, it just writes to the console. And it says room is not available, which isn't very helpful because our visitors to this site almost certainly are not looking at the JavaScript console. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is look at this code right here. And one of the things I want to do is to actually modify this to say that if it's available, then display it. So what I can do here is I'll do the not available first. So instead of saying room is not available, the logic here is perfect. If okay, do what I want to do. If there's no availability, then do something else. All I'll do here is just display an error message. And I can do that using our attention. Attention dot error. And inside of that, we just specify the message you want. And message for now just can be whatever you want, but I'm just going to put no availability. And try that and see how it works. That should be a comma, not a semicolon. So I'll go back to my console, reload this page, check availability. I know there's no availability on the 2nd to the 3rd because I verified that in the database. And I'll click OK. And now it says no availability. Great. So that's perfect. So that was easy. But what if something is right? What if, in fact, I can display the message? Well, what I probably should do is display a dialog box that has some HTML in it with a link to a route that I'll create that will grab the information that we pass to that route and then just take us over to the reservation page. So that should be pretty straightforward. So let's get rid of this console.log and get started. So the first thing I'll do is I'll call attention and I'll call the custom because I'm actually going to build a custom dialog here, okay? And the parameters for that will be as follows. We'll put the icon success, which may not be set up in our custom yet, but if it's not, we'll fix that. So icon will be success. I want to display a nice animation of the check mark that SweetAlert gives us. And then I'll just write some HTML. And for right now, I'll just put in a paragraph tag, room is available, and close my paragraph tag. And then I want to continue this string because I want more in it. So I'll put a plus sign. And then I'll put another paragraph tag. And inside of that, I'll put an href equals. And I don't have the path yet, so I'll fix this. I'll just put a placeholder for the href. And class equals button primary. And then I'll put my message in there, which is, I'll just continue this on the next line. Inside of the A tag, I'll just put book now. And then I'll close my A tag and close my P tag. So I have an icon, which we may have to set up in our actual JavaScript for this module, but we'll find that out in a minute. And I'm going to just do that for right now. Okay, so let's see what happens. Go back here, reload this page, check for availability, and I'll choose dates that I know are available, sometime in February, 9th to the 10th. Okay. And it gives me a called. That's not good. Better spell attention right. Save. Reload. Check availability. In February, the 9th to the 10th. Okay. And it gave me the room is available with a book now button. But I also have this OK button, which doesn't do anything. Now I could, if I wanted to put the time into it, I could find out how this button is rendered in SweetAlert, and I could actually make that my link. But the problem we have is we're calling, if you look at our JavaScript here, we're inside a callback, and I'd have to have a callback inside a callback. I'm not sure I want to do that right now. So what I'm going to do is just hide that OK button. I'll find a way to hide this, and I'll find a way to display the checkmark icon here. So let's go back to our base layout and find that section where we have our attention, custom, error, here's custom. Okay, first of all, let's allow an icon to be specified, and we'll make that equal to nothing if it's not specified. And then down here, we'll just say icon will be icon. And the other thing I want to do is to hide the confirm button. And if you look at the documentation for SweetAlert, it actually has an option called show confirm button. And I'll default that to true, which is what the default is. But down here, I'll actually allow us to override it. Show confirm button equals, or colon, show confirm button. Okay, so let's do that. Now we go back to our generals page, and we'll pass it a parameter. Show confirm button false. Let's save that and see what happens. So let's reload this, check some dates we know are available back in February, 9th to the 10th, and click OK. Okay, so that didn't quite work. Show confirm button didn't hide, but I did get my check mark, so I must have a typo in there somewhere. So back to base layout. We have show confirm button is show confirm button, and a show confirm button is equal to true. So let's copy this, go back to the generals page, show confirm button. It looks like it's right. Maybe it's just not cached, or it's cached or something. Show confirm button is false. Oh, I put it in the wrong spot. That's why. Get rid of that. Try that again. Attention success. It belongs here. I'm sure you noticed that and are laughing at me right now, and that's fine. Lots of people have laughed at me over the years. So let's reload this page, check availability, choose dates that we know are available, and there should be nothing in January. Click OK. Room is available. So I have my book now button here. I have my cancel button here. If you want to, you can actually look at the SweetAlert documentation and hide the cancel button and make your own programmatically, but I'll leave that as an exercise for you. Right now, this will work, but I need an href in there. I need something to go to that I can pass the 3 pieces of information that I'm going to need before I can display that make reservation page. And what I need are the room ID, the start date, and the end date. So let's go modify our URL right here. And instead of doing this, I'm going to say href equals / and I'll choose something for a, let's just call it book room. Book room. And then it's going to take some parameters, but I'll pass those as a GET request. And what I'm going to pass are the ID, which will be the room ID. So I'm going to, right here, close my string and put a plus sign. And in between those, so the ID is going to be equal to my room ID, which I already have. That is my data.room ID. Actually, we don't have that yet, but we will in a minute. So we'll put a plus sign here. What I'm going to have to do is modify the JSON to hand back the room ID, the start date, and the end date. But let's set up the URL first, and then we'll go do that in a minute. So data.room ID plus, and inside the string, we're back to building our URL now. We have to get our next parameter, which we do with an ampersand, and I'll put s equals for start date plus data.startDate plus ampersand e equals, and this will be the end date, plus data.endDate. And let's see, what's after that? We have our href open. Good. We have our URL, then question mark ID equals plus that, ampersand s equals and that, ampersand e equals and that, and then we close our, we have to close our query here. So that would be right after data end date. This should have a single quote there. All right. So that should give us a valid URL. Let's make sure it works before we do anything. And to make it work, we have to actually pass room ID, start date, and end date back from our handlers. So let's go back to our handlers. Let's find the availability JSON right here. And there's the JSON response type. And now I want to include 3 more pieces of information. Room ID, which will be a string. And I'm going to call it in JSON, I'll call it room ID. Then we need start date, which will also be a string. And in JSON, I'll call that start date and end date. All right, so I've redefined my type. Now I just need to populate the information that I send back. So here I can say start date. That will be equal to, well, I already have it in SD, so I may as well use that. End date, which is ED, and room ID. Now room ID is actually an int. What I have here is I'm getting that room ID into an int, so I need to convert that to a string, and I can just use my strconv, and this time I'm going I to A, and that doesn't throw an error. It just gives me the string back, so I can just in there put room ID. All right, now if I stop my application, start my application, it compiled, go back here, reload this page, clear the console just in case there's an error somewhere, and check availability, and look for dates that I know are available, sometime in January, say the 12th to the 13th, and click OK. Now I have a link here, and that link I can see in the lower left-hand corner says go to /bookroom with an ID of 1, which is the ID of the general's quarters, and there's our start date, and there's our end date. Perfect! So now all I need to do is to set up my new route for book-room, grab those parameters that are passed as a GET request, construct a sessional variable for the reservation, stick it in the session, and then take us over to the Make Reservation page. And that should be really easy, and we'll take care of that in the next lecture.